Let's reflect, shall we, on that win over Nottingham Forest, and Bukayo Saka was the main attacking outlet for Arsenal in this one, wasn't he? What did the stats say?
Well, he certainly was the main outlet. It was another outstanding performance from him, wasn't it? A brilliant goal for the opener, and he was heavily involved throughout. And we'll start by looking at where Arsenal directed their attacks in the game. So here we see 53% of their attacks in the game were directed on Saka's side, on that right-hand side, compared to only 22% through the middle and 25% on the left. So that gives you an idea of just how much they used him. And if we show you the next graphic, we'll see just how effective he was in the game. The stats really do underline that. So of course the goal, the assist as well, but then 6 shots in the game, which was the most by any player. He created 4 chances. That was the second most in the game. And then we see these bottom 2 stats here. So Saka had 13 touches in the opposition box. Again, that was a game high, and he had 16 one-on-ones, which again was the most in the game. And that really shows you how Arsenal were able to get him isolated against his defender and really cause problems in that sense. And I think Martin Odegaard was obviously a huge part of this. He was feeding Saka regularly, and we really saw their understanding. So we'll see their passes now in this lovely graphic here. So here we have Odegaard's passes to Saka on this left-hand side, and we have Saka's passes to Odegaard over on this side. So there were 18 passes from Odegaard to Saka, and 18 as well from Saka to Odegaard, all on that right-hand side. As you can see, of course, they combined for Saka's goal, but they were doing it throughout the game. And we can show you some other stats here which show you, just how effective that understanding was in the game. So these are passes exchanged between 2 players in Premier League games this season. So as you can see here, the total of 36 between Saka and Odegaard in this game against Nottingham Forest was the 3rd highest total in the Premier League this season. That's after only two Aston Villa players here, so Jacob Ramsey and Yuri Tielemans, and Ross Barkley and Yuri Tielemans at 37. So that really highlights just how strong that understanding was between Odegaard and Saka in the game.
Was that the best away performance in Europe of your tenure here?
For sure, especially against the opponent that we played in their home. I don't think I've lost a game in 18 months. They've been in top form. They've been better than anybody they play here. So to play to the level with the determination, the purpose, the fluidity that we've done today, very pleased. The performance was there a few times, and when we have played big teams and we have played PSG and we were exceptional again, we played Bayern, we were exceptional, we made some mistakes, cost us. Now it's Inter, now it's this level. That's the level that we have to be able to cope. And it's true that the result is very different, but the performance and as well the entity of the opponent that we faced when we played Inter, I was so pleased with what I saw, and I knew that in that pathway, good things were going to happen in Europe. Today we've been able to do that and replicate it and be even more efficient in the position half. And very pleased because the team played with so much courage, because they are so good, and watching them live, I realize how good they are.
Mikel Arteta has every right to be happy with his team's performance. It's only the 3rd time the club has scored 5 in away Champions League fixtures, and the first since 2008, in fact. That's before he even played for Arsenal. And it was no mean feat either. They beat a Sporting side who had gone over a year unbeaten at home in all competitions, a run stretching 30 games. Plus, this is just further evidence that the team's away struggles are a thing of the past, with their 5 goals last night equalling their away tally from their last 8 Champions League away games combined. Gunners failing to score in their last 4 European away trips.
They were fantastic. They were brilliant from start to finish. You saw Man City go to Sporting Lisbon and struggle. The thing with Arsenal is they capitalised in the first half and they were outstanding. In the second half, as soon as Sporting got back into it, Arsenal took it up another gear. When you have Odegaard in your team, Arsenal are a total different team. That was their best 11 that they played tonight, and they thoroughly showed it. So they're in good form. Don't rule Arsenal out of the title race.
Craig just said it's a big statement there from Arsenal. Robbo, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, the stats don't really tell the story, because Arsenal were fully dominant in the first half. The second half, Sporting came back into the game and put a bit of pressure on, and Raya had to make some saves. But that first half was Arsenal at their very best. They were composed in possession, but got in behind Sporting on numerous occasions. They got crosses into the box through good play. They overloaded down the right-hand side. But even though they overloaded down the right-hand side and created a numerical advantage, they still had players making runs into the box and get on the end of crosses. And they were good defensively. They closed the ball down. They won it back in good areas. It was the all-round performance from Arsenal. And even when they were put under a bit more pressure in the second half, the goalkeeper came to their rescue on 2 or 3 occasions, and they defended well as a unit. So a good all-round performance, and maybe the sign that Arsenal have just got it back here, and they could really force Liverpool in the Premier League as well.
I know Odegaard is the sort of headline return, Robbo, and he's looked really sharp. There's no doubt about it. It looks like the rest of the players have got a lift with him coming back in and pulling the strings. But we were talking about this just before we came on air. If they can keep this back four fit, this is a really solid foundation to take them through the rest of the season, if they can keep them fit.
Absolutely. Saliba and Gabriel, we know they've had a great partnership for 2 or 3 years now. But Calafiori came in at left back, but he's also a player that can step and do the things that Mikel Arteta likes, which is stepping into midfield alongside Thomas Partey at times to create that overload in there. But I like Timber, whether he's played at left back, he's a right back come right-sided centre-half. I saw him when he was playing for the Dutch national team. He's strong, he's aggressive, he wants to defend, he's quick, and he's decent on the ball. I think he's been a great addition. It was a shame that he got an injury in his first season, didn't play that often. But now he's showing what a really good player he is. And I think he's a massive bonus for Arsenal this year.
I just think there's a run coming for Arsenal, and we were sort of discussing this before the international break, and maybe there was a few doubters out there. I mean, I wasn't saying myself that I wasn't doubting them, but I picked them to win the league this year. So I'm sort of half hoping they put a run together, because you want this title to be amongst as many, the title run-in, if it's not even a run-in yet, we're not at Christmas, but you want as many teams as possible. We've always felt City would be in there. I think that's more in doubt now than anything else. But I just always felt that Arsenal were much better than what we'd seen early this season. And I know the Odegaard scenario was difficult for them, but I still expected a little bit more. You can't be so reliant on one player, but you just feel there's a run in there from Arsenal where they can, once the Champions League football gets out of the way, they get back to the bread and butter and they try and hunt this Liverpool side down. And I can see that now. Maybe they're going to have some headaches up front with Havertz, and maybe it's going to be Jesus at times, but they're going to have to make a bit of a mess of it. If Odegaard's on this form and Saka remains in this form and Martinelli chips in, Trossard chips in, and they keep the others fit, they're going to have to make a mess of it against most of the teams in the Premier League not to win games. When it comes to the big ones, that's a different kettle of fish. But they're so strong at the back, they're so strong in the middle of the park that you could see them putting like 7, 8, 9 wins together. The kind of runs that Man City used to put when we used to say, City, this is the year they're not going to win the league, and then they go bang, a dozen wins in the spin. That's maybe a bit of an ask, but you could see Arsenal easily putting 6 or 7 wins together. And everybody's looking at Liverpool at the moment going, this is going to be Liverpool. It's a bit early for all that. Yeah. A bit early.
A very interesting run ahead in the Premier League, and no doubt a lot of talk about what's going on with the Premier League sides in the Champions League and the rest of the Champions League teams on the next edition of the Gab and Jules show. Make sure to join our podcast feed to stay up to date with these two twice a week.
Matchday 5 is done, which means we have got our team of the week done and dusted as well. Here's a look at the players that we have selected from yesterday and from today, and it could only be one person in goal. No arguments with Kelleher, was there, boys?
I mean, Martinez did play well for Aston Villa as well, pulled out a world-class save, but Kelleher for me has just been on sensational form.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many good players that you can put into the team. These are undoubtedly deserve it as well. Di Maria at his age to be in this team is incredible what he's doing at the Champions League level. And Retegui, the guy is on fire as well. Lewandowski.
Who is it? Nigel's favourite player? The number 10 up top, Lewandowski as well, with a career milestone yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, third ever player to score at least 100 goals in the Champions League. He is the best striker in the world right now. I'd say Harry Kane knocking at the door at number 2, but this guy, he gets better with age like fine wine. And
we've got to give credit to Paixão as well, because that equalising goal, his part in the goal for Feyenoord was sensational. The header gets it out wide and makes the right decision. in the end, just to lift it for his teammate. That's the biggest, the most important thing when you talk about top players, the decision making in the final third.
And Charles de Ketelaere, who would have thought, Grella, last year watching him play at Milan to now being in our Champions League Team of the Week with Atalanta.
First time in history, 5+ goal involvements in a game. I think pretty impressive. What Atalanta's doing in general is really impressive. Gasperini came out, said, in so many words, Americans and their analytics don't understand football. So, I mean,
say that again, Grella. What did he say?
What
did he say?
So
I thought it was
we're not big. I mean, I know Nige and I can't speak for Mike. We're not big analytic guys. Anyway, so I hope he's not talking to us. But
it was like Shakespeare, like what Gasperini said.
I think he said the face of match day, the two face of match day guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
So how crazy is it though? We don't have a Real Madrid or a Man City player in that team.
Madness. And we'll show you the league face as well, because we don't have a Manchester City or Real Madrid anywhere near It's been a long day. Liverpool, they're at the top with Inter and Barcelona, and you'll have to go all the way down to find where the other two favourites of the competition are. But PSG in the elimination zone 5 match days in.
There's 2 teams in there, PSG and Leipzig. Wow, what a poor showing by Leipzig, who have been real regular Champions League standouts to at least make it to the next round minimum, but they have been absolutely diabolical this year. PSG, an absolute train crash.
Yeah, 5 games, 5 losses, PSG in the wrong spot as well, but there's still 3 match days left. That's a potential 9 points, so anything can still happen. I think even young boys are not mathematically out of it yet.
Yeah, my eyes go to 24th. Real Madrid and PSG, these are 2 clubs that we usually talk about favorites to win the Champions League. And the question about will PSG be better off without Kylian Mbappe? They wish they could clone him and bring him back to the club right now. It's been a horror show in the Champions League.
Yeah. And the thing I like about it as well now is, as it progresses again, your own destiny may not be in your own hands because of who you have to play. So this is when it really gets exciting.
Well, Liverpool, it can be a sigh of relief for them because they, at the very minimum, are through to the playoffs of this Champions League campaign.